Have you ever pondered why some people remain calm under pressure while others crumble? This might be due to the philosophy they abide by, known as Stoicism. Stoicism, my friends, is not just a term. It's a mindset, a way of life. Its seeds were sown in the fertile intellectual soil of ancient Greece, where philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius taught that true power lies in our ability to maintain inner peace amidst outer turmoil. Stoicism teaches us to value virtue above all else, to practice self-control, and to understand that while we cannot control all that happens to us, we can control how we respond. It's about finding tranquility in the storm, not by avoiding the storm, but by changing our perspective towards it. This philosophy, though thousands of years old, still resonates strongly today. But what happens when we fall into anti-Stoic habits? Let's delve into this. The first anti-Stoic habit is the tendency to focus on the negative. It's a trait that's all too common, and it's a trait that brings us down. This habit, you see, is like a dark cloud that overshadows our ability to appreciate life. It leads to stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. But how do we combat this? Stoics, they have a strategy. They practice gratitude, they focus on the positive aspects of life, they find joy in the simple things, and they remind themselves that every cloud, yes, even the darkest ones, has a silver lining. By shifting our focus from the negative to the positive, we can start to see life in a more favorable light. We can start to appreciate it more, and we can start to live it more fully. Remember, it's not the situation that troubles us, but our thoughts about it. Fear of change is our second anti-Stoic habit. Imagine a river forever flowing, never the same from one moment to the next. This is the nature of life, a constant state of flux. But too often we resist the river's flow, we fear the unknown waters ahead, cling to the familiar banks we know. This fear of change, it can keep us anchored in unhealthy patterns, in stagnant waters, far from the vibrant current of life. Stoics, however, they understand the river's nature. They embrace change, not as a threat, but as an essential part of life's rhythm. They see change as an opportunity for growth, for learning, for becoming better versions of themselves. And this is the gift of change. It's not something to be feared, but rather something to be welcomed, embraced, even celebrated. So let's step into the river together. Let's embrace the flow of life. Change is inevitable. Learning to accept it is the key. The third anti-Stoic habit is seeking external validation. This is a habit that can lead us down a path of self-doubt and insecurity. It's a trap that's easy to fall into, especially in today's social media-driven world where likes and comments often dictate our self-worth. But let's delve into the Stoic perspective. Stoics believe in finding validation within themselves, in their own virtues and actions. They understand that the opinions others hold of us are outside our control and thus not worth our energy or concern. Stoics uphold that our value comes from our character, our integrity, and our ability to act in accordance with our principles. It's about striving to be the best version of ourselves, not for others, but for our own peace and self-respect. This shift in mindset can lead to a profound sense of self-esteem and inner peace. Your worth is not defined by others, but by your own virtues. Scene script. Overindulgence, the fourth anti-Stoic habit. Picture this: you're at a feast laden with all your favorite delicacies. The temptation to overindulge is immense, isn't it? But here's the thing. Stoics understand the importance of moderation. They know that overindulgence can lead to a lack of self-control. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering momentum and size. It starts with an extra slice of cake, then it's one more episode of that addictive series, and before you know it, you're spiraling into a vortex of excesses. Overindulgence, in essence, is a trap. It might feel good in the moment, but it leaves you with a sense of emptiness, a void that you try to fill with more indulgence. It's a vicious cycle. On the other hand, moderation brings balance. It gives you control over your desires rather than letting them control you. It promotes self-discipline, a virtue highly appreciated by Stoics. Moderation, not excess, leads to contentment. Avoiding responsibility, the fifth anti-Stoic habit. In the grand theatre of life, every role we play comes with its own set of responsibilities. Shying away from them, however, can lead to stagnation and a lack of personal growth. Consider this: a seed avoids the responsibility to sprout and grow, denying itself the chance to become a magnificent tree. Similarly, when we dodge our responsibilities, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn, evolve, and reach our full potential. Now, let's draw inspiration from the Stoics. They believed in taking full responsibility for their actions, understanding that every decision, every step, every misstep was theirs and theirs alone. They did not blame fate, other people, or circumstance. They owned their actions, and in doing so they owned their lives. This, my friends, is the essence of Stoicism. It teaches us to embrace responsibility, not evade it. Taking responsibility is the first step towards growth. The sixth anti-Stoic habit is impulsiveness. A rush of adrenaline, a sudden urge, a spontaneous leap. These are the hallmarks of impulsiveness. It's the act of responding immediately to stimuli without giving thought to the consequences. Sure, it can add a dash of excitement to life, but it can also lead to decisions we later regret. In contrast, the Stoics saw the wisdom in thoughtful decision-making. They believed in weighing the pros and cons, in considering the potential outcomes before taking action. It's not about suppressing emotions or desires, rather, it's about understanding them and deciding how best to respond. Imagine if you could pause before reacting, if you could assess your impulses and then decide whether or not to act on them. This is the Stoic approach to decision-making. It's about taking a moment to breathe, to think, and to choose. Thoughtful action, not impulsive reaction, is the Stoic way. Dwelling on the past, our seventh anti-Stoic habit. Like an anchor, the past can hold us back, preventing us from sailing into the vast sea of the present. We often find ourselves submerged in the depths of what was, neglecting the beauty of what is. This is a habit that stands in stark contrast to the Stoic philosophy. Stoics believe in the power of the present, the here and now. They understand that the past, with its triumphs and failures, is a closed book. It's a story that's been told, a song that's been sung. They don't waste energy trying to rewrite chapters that have already ended or replay notes that have already faded. Instead, they focus on the only moment they can truly influence, the present. They appreciate it, cherish it, and make the most of it, because they know that the past is unchangeable, the present is all we truly have. Worrying about the future, the eighth anti-Stoic habit. It's like a foggy road, you can't see where it leads, and that uncertainty can be unsettling. But here's the thing, the future is not something we can control. It's a canvas yet to be painted, a story yet to be written. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't waste energy fretting about what might or might not happen. Instead, they focused on the here and now, the place where they could make a difference. Worrying about the future can tie us in knots of anxiety, keeping us from enjoying and appreciating the present moment. It's like trying to predict the weather a year from now, futile and draining. Stoics encourage us to let go of our fears and anxieties about the future. Instead, they urge us to focus on the tangible, the present moment, the actions and decisions we can control right now. The future isn't guaranteed. Focus on making the most of the present. Comparing ourselves to others. The ninth anti-Stoic habit. The age-old trap of comparison. A deceptive pitfall that can lead to dissatisfaction and envy. It's a game we play, measuring our worth against someone else's achievements, possessions, or appearance. But remember, what's seen on the surface is rarely the whole picture. Stoics knew this well. They recognized the futility of such comparisons, and instead they focused on self-improvement. You see, Stoicism teaches us to measure ourselves not against others, but against our own potential. There's a certain liberation in this approach, wouldn't you agree? It frees us from the exhausting race of comparison and redirects our energy towards becoming the best version of ourselves. So, instead of looking sideways, let's look within. Let's concentrate on our own growth, our own journey. Let's work on becoming better than we were yesterday, last week, last month, or last year. After all, comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself. Resisting reality, the 10th anti-Stoic habit. Often we find ourselves in a constant battle with reality, refusing to accept the world as it is. This resistance can lead to a life filled with suffering, stress, and disappointment. But why do we resist? The answer is simple. Fear. Fear of discomfort, fear of change, fear of the unknown. But in this fear, we lose sight of a fundamental truth. Reality is, and always will be, beyond our control. The Stoics understood this. They taught that the path to tranquility wasn't in changing the world to suit our desires, but in accepting the world as it is. To resist reality is to resist life itself. Instead, we should embrace it, with all its unpredictability and imperfections. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation, but rather a conscious decision to let go of what we can't control. Accepting reality, no matter how harsh, is the gateway to inner peace. It's clear that these anti-Stoic habits can hinder our personal growth and peace of mind. We've journeyed together through the labyrinth of anti-Stoic habits, those tenacious tendencies that often go unnoticed, yet have a profound impact on our lives. Let's take a moment to recap. We've explored the damaging effects of focusing on the negative, which breeds pessimism and hampers our ability to see opportunities. We've discussed the fear of change, a paralyzing force that stifles growth and progress. The incessant quest for external validation, a treacherous path that leads us away from self-acceptance and inner peace. We've delved into the pitfalls of overindulgence, an insatiable beast that fuels dissatisfaction and discontentment. We've bared the burden of avoiding responsibility, a weighty shackle that robs us of our power and potential. The recklessness of impulsiveness, a fast-paced sprint that often leads us off course and into chaos. We've reflected on the futility of dwelling on the past, a haunting spectre that hinders us from living fully in the present. The anxiety of worrying about the future, a looming shadow that obscures the beauty of the here and now. We've examined the trap of comparing ourselves to others, a never-ending race that fosters envy and resentment. And finally, we've confronted the challenge of resisting reality, a futile struggle that breeds frustration and suffering. Each of these habits, in their own way, serves as an impediment to our personal growth and tranquility. But there's hope. By recognizing and removing these anti-Stoic habits, we pave the way for a more serene and fulfilling life. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate inner peace, to control what's within our power and let go of what's not. It guides us toward wisdom, courage, justice and temperance, virtues that foster a life of fulfillment and tranquility. The journey of self-improvement is a lifelong endeavor, but the rewards are immeasurable. Embrace Stoicism, cultivate inner peace. Remember, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters.